Isaacson with the crafty dump that time to give the Cardinals the point.
Isaacson, serve again, an ace!
The last couple of years, I've definitely taken over a leadership role of the team, and it was something that when you grow up with coaches as parents, you're kind of, we'll say the words forced into, because you're always setting the example. That's just what you're taught. But the last 3 years of being a captain, I've just kind of been, hopefully, a good leader to this team, and obviously the on-the-court stuff helps. But if I can set an example for these guys that are going to be juniors and seniors the next couple of years, and they can keep passing it down, we'll keep a great tradition here.
I think just his volleyball IQ has been a huge benefit and asset to us as a coaching staff because he knows the game so well, and he just has a good pulse of the group.
My mom, 2 or 3 years old, she was coaching high school volleyball, and she used to put me in the carts and they would just roll me around. And that's how I started with the game, and slowly but surely I would see the girls play and I wanted to pepper with them, and I was starting to learn how I'd win. And I finally got pushed to do it a little bit when I was, I think, like 10 years old. My mom was like, "Oh, you could be really good at this." And I was like, "Yeah, we'll try it." And they didn't have, at that time, you don't have guys volleyball. So I actually intermixed with girls my first year. It was me, 2 other guys, and then the rest were girls. And then I was like, maybe this is something I can try more often. And then when I got with guys completely, just to play with, that type of age, and I had a lot of fun. I knew I was going to enjoy it. I first met Matt the year before he played with us. His sister was on one of the top teams for Club 1, and my mom was actually the coach. So I went and watched her play, and then I see this 6'8", 15-year-old, and I'm like, "Do you play volleyball?" He's like, "Oh, I'm a basketball player." I'm like, "So am I. That doesn't mean you can't play volleyball." And he came to the tryout, and but the second he stepped in our gym and kind of got that feeling of a real competitive nature for men's volleyball, it changed his whole perspective. And he was like, I can do this for a long time. The rest was history, so I was happy I was able to get him there.
When it came to volleyball, you knew that's what he wanted to do, and he was going to play. With my son and him, there was fun, and they were silly, and they were typical boys. When Matt decided to play, Quinn met him at the door and was like, "Let's go, we're going to play, you're my guy, you're my big guy that I need in the middle," and they became instant best friends. The bond that they had was amazing.
He comes in and he just had that glow about him that was just so special. When you see your child have that special glow that he just really loves something so much and he enjoyed it, and he says, "Dad, I'm gonna have fun this year. This is a great team, this is a good bunch of guys," and they were a great team. And I know Quinn made that special because he was recruiting Matt. And then once those two met, it was all over. They were just like 2 peas in a pod, they bonded.
Matt was fun. Matt always had a good time, so I think that's what was good with Quinn and Matt, was that Matt always brought fun into the game, and whether they were on the court or off the court, it was just, Matt was always having a good time, always a smile on his face.
He was so calm, something that our team, we were all obviously very competitive, but he was like the calm set that kept everyone controlled, which is weird that you don't get that from a new guy. Usually the new guy is the one that's trying to show everyone he can play. He's kind of the guy that I got to talk to away from the sport and away from the team, that I could just either vent to or just have a nice conversation with. And we had a lot of similarities. We really liked playing certain video games. We liked hanging out and just talking and watching TV. And he just was so different from a lot of the people I've met that it meant a lot to me that he was there to have these conversations, to play volleyball with, just to have on my side, because it was something that I haven't had before that. So it meant a lot to me off the court as well as on the court.
We found out in 6th grade he was a really amazing athlete, whatever he played, and we were just at a regular physical, and he was really tall. He was always super tall. He was a big kid no matter where he was at. His friends were here, he was up here even when he was 2. And they just wanted to do some extra tests. He was not having any problems at all. We found out that he had an enlarged aorta in his heart.
It deformed his heart a little bit, and his heart was kind of shaped like a 4-leaf clover. But a lot of our guys on our team, I know 2 of our guys have clover tattoos with his name and everything kind of shaped like a heart. The blood pumping, like it caused disruption and stuff like that. And obviously when you grow to 6'8" at such a young age, that heart it's trying to pump so much that's going on.
So at that point, we just continued with whatever the doctor said. We went for checkups every 6 months. They said maybe eventually someday, because of that, they were just going to watch the growth of it, and at some point they might have to do surgery, but they weren't that concerned. On June 6th, he was actually supposed to go to volleyball practice. He was super excited because the guys were getting back together after their high school season. And the club was about to start, and he was supposed to go to practice that morning, and he came down. He says, "Mom, I'm just not feeling good," and he kind of like this. And I thought, "Oh God, okay, we're going to the doctor." Went to the doctor. They took us we went straight to an emergency room. They ran tests on him for hours and hours, and they sent us home. And they said, "Everything looks good. Just keep an eye on him, kind of keep chill." And so we did, and then unfortunately he just stood up and...
And finally, some sad news about a Naperville Central athlete who died unexpectedly on June 6th.
I woke up, and my grandma and grandpa were the ones that were looking after me. And they were the first ones they're like, "Don't look at your phone." And I was like, "Okay." And they're like, "Your mom's on the phone." And then she broke the news to me, and that's when we found out as a team that he had that rare heart condition and how it happened. It all kind of like started unfolding in that moment. Just like every 16-year-old, I just broke down. I couldn't control it. He was one of my best friends, and it was a lot. Luckily, our team was very close. As I've kind of said, like, we were very close together, and we all luckily went to like a central point of our team, one of our libero's house at that time, and they housed everyone. And wasn't a lot of talking for the first couple of hours. It was more just soaking it in, just like that it happened, and a lot of questions and stuff, but we just knew that wasn't the right time to ask. But we probably were in that type of mode / did that for like 3 or 4 days straight. You kind of start connecting the dots a little bit on just like how special he was, that like he had a lot going on with him, but he didn't want to be treated differently. He wanted to be this competitor, and that he was able to keep it to himself. So I really do think that the reason he kept it very quiet was just because he didn't want to let us down as a team. But yeah, I'll never forget that day.
It's hard for me because I'm a firefighter paramedic to go through that. So to have my own son go down, I still have nightmares about it, but that I couldn't help my son. But my wife and our whole family, we believe that it was meant to be. He was a special person, and we think God came and took him for a reason, because he needed somebody like him, and he was just special, and it was his time.
Well, as a mother, I mean, losing a child, you can't really talk about or explain, because some people say, "Oh, you know, it's been 6 years," and then I turn around and I say, "Yeah, but it's been 6 years that I haven't seen my boy." So it's awful and it's terrible, but we have 2 amazing daughters that we just knew we had to get up every morning and put a smile on our face and do what we could do to honor Matt. And so I don't know where the strength comes from. It's just love, and the love I had from him, and I'm just blessed that I had 16 amazing years with him, because he was a great kid. Quinn was amazing. Quinn even spoke at Matt's funeral. You know, the bond that they had was pretty special, and kids like Quinn and other friends that he had, the team that they were on, you know, that helped us. You know, it's because of Matt that we have this relationship with Quinn and his family. You know, everyone kind of bonded after that, which I think is a gift to Matt's memory and who he was.
So I remember we went to an 18s court, and Joel was there, and I think Fern was there, the old coaches, and they were recruiting. And we kind of saw them, and we started looking up, like, oh, Ball State. Like, obviously I knew it through the MAC through my dad, but he wasn't too aware of it. And we looked up the arena, and we see it packed, and we see them ranked, and it was kind of like this cool thing of like, oh man, like, they're really good. And you start seeing some other coaches, and I think they were just the first team we saw was the Ball State coaching staff. And we always like joked around / talked about like, oh, we'll go together. Like we'll go there, we'll get there, we'll play in Worthen. We called it the big arena at the time because we didn't know what it was called. Just from his perspective was like he deserved to be at this level and playing at this level, and just because his attitude, his work ethic, everything that came together, he deserved to do it. And I felt like I had to carry him on. Every day, I talk to him roughly every day, especially on game days. I give him a little talk right before right before we get out there. So the first like 30, 40 seconds, it's more just breathing and getting everything calmed down. And then as it's all wrapping up, it's kind of like a, hey Matt, like we're gonna need you today, help me out here. Even though sometimes, you know, we feel pretty confident going in games, but it's just for him to be on my shoulder helping me out, because when I get into certain moments where it's tense, or it's 24-23, kind of like that, I guess we got into that Hawaii moment in that 5th set. I was a little tense, I was a little nervous, but it was just something where I was like, I knew he was there kind of calming me down, so it's just like a, hey man, I really need you here tonight. Like, I know we can do this together. Love you. Definitely thank him, because I think a lot of my success is due to his motivation. I'd obviously tell him I miss him. I wish he was here, because I really do think that he'd be on this team and he'd be enjoying this season as much as I am right now, and he'd be celebrating as much as I am.
Here's back and gets the ace. She smoked that one.
If you watch Quinn, you can see that every day. And that kid loves what he's doing, and I do think that Matt kind of brought that spirit out of him a little bit more.
He's super open-minded to what we're trying to, feedback we're giving him, and he adjusts, and he's a really good dude. High character and loves to work hard. Even when we're trying to rest him, he's trying to work hard.
He is just a special person. But his one special quality, and I know he did it to my son, is he makes everybody around him a great player. You know, and that's what he did to our son. He made our son that much of a better player just because that's who he is, you know, and that's what attracts everybody to him. He has that it factor that you always need, and probably why he's one of the best setters in the country. So, love you, Quinn.